Hi there, welcome to my channel where I take you on tours of tiny and unique homes and showcase stories of people living alternatively. In this week's episode, we're traveling to Hood River, Oregon to tour one man's incredibly clever tiny home. BJARNE'S home features beautiful wood accents, a one-of-a-kind hideaway desk system, and plenty of room to store all of his gear for outdoor adventures. He's going to take us on a tour and explain how living tiny has freed up his finances and allowed him more time for pursuing his passions. But before we get started, if you like videos like this where we showcase stories of people living alternatively, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know every single time we publish a new tour.
Will you join me? Will you roll? Make this house our tiny home.
My name is BJARNE'S and welcome to my tiny home. Her name is ljuvlig, which means lovely in Swedish. I started my filming business for about 15 years ago, and I'm traveling around in the world making ski films and other documentaries. For me to be able to live in a tiny home, it creates much more freedom in my life. I get a little bit extra money because living cost is way less. I don't have to live in a giant home. I think it's completely unnecessary. So to have a small living space, it makes me have a better lifestyle and I have more opportunity to do what I actually love in life. I've been staying in this tiny home now for more than a year. I designed this entire tiny home myself. I also run a business where we build vans and now also tiny homes. So we are a team of 5 people. We all build this tiny home together as a team. And this was our first tiny home all together, a couple of months and it was finished. You can actually move this house. Think about that for a second. If you want to move somewhere, you can bring your home with you. That is something to me that was a dream long time ago. You get way more freedom, you get more money, you have more fun, and I feel like a happier person if I have a smaller home, because I can just live more healthy. The house is 30 feet long and 8.4 feet wide, and it's 13.8 feet high. So it's in the legal limit of driving on the road. It is 320 square feet on the inside, including the loft. We are in Hood River. It's only about 10 minutes from downtown, and I'm renting this area here from some lovely neighbors of mine. It's a beautiful spot and I can't get enough of it really. In this house there is water hookup with just a water hose and electricity as well, and then it's just gray water, there's no black water, so that's how it all works. When I designed this house, I wanted to have as many windows as possible because I obviously want to look out. Here in Oregon we have 4 seasons. The leaves on the trees here turns completely crazy with all the colors. A couple of months later, it's like 3 feet of snow on the ground. To live here next to the creek, I feel more in touch with nature, and to me that's very important. I feel more happy that way. I can live my life just much better. The siding is actually cedar, and we went with cedar because it's much lighter than most other exterior you can use. And in that way, if you want to move it, etc., you're never really going to go overweight. The entire tiny home is about 15,500 pounds, and the max is 21,000, so it's pretty easy to put a lot of weight in this kind of house. On the side of the house, we have this storage unit, so let's check that out. I do a lot of skiing, and that's actually my profession, to make ski movies and documentaries, travel around the world, so I need a lot of skis to do my work, and it all fits in here, so yeah, I'm pretty stoked on that. In here we also have a propane hot water heater and also the propane tank for heating up the hot water. In this house, the propane is only used for the hot water heater. This propane tank is a normal size as you use in a barbecue, for example, and it lasts for a really long time, about a month. All right, let's come inside and I show you around. Well, welcome in here. When we built this house, I always wanted to have my Scandinavian roots, so to speak. I'm from Sweden. I really like the openness, the clean style, and the functionality. We try to bring the nature into the house in terms of floating shelves, and we have the countertops and everything. They are white oak from the Oregon forest, actually. So that brings that warm feeling in here. Together with those big windows, it really feels open and spacious in here. There are two heating sources in this house. One is a mini split, keeps the house really warm, and also in the summer it's an AC, so it stays nice and cool in here. And we also have this beautiful wood stove from Cubic Mini Wood Stoves. That thing is cranking and it keeps it really hot. Like right now I'm actually pretty toasty in here, it's great. To me, something I like with my tiny home is how efficient it is and how small footprint it has on the environment. In North America, 40% of the energy consumption is used to heat up or cool down all these houses. This tiny home is about 10% of a normal footprint from a normal big house. And that makes me feel like we are going somewhere in a positive direction. When I also moved into a tiny home, I was like, all right, I want to have guests staying over. And first I was like, is that really gonna work? But yeah, it is. It's gonna work really good because this couch here actually turns into a double bed guest bed. There you go. That's your double bed for two people. I'm working from home all the time, but I don't want to see my office. Like I don't want to see the computer all the time. So I decided to come up with this idea here. And to get the desk down, there's just one little button right here. This is the office desk. We are super fired up how this turned out. A big screen in a small tiny home doesn't work out great all the time. So that's why we came up with this idea to have a fold-up table with a whole screen on it. So when it hides in the ceiling, it's very slick and it just disappears. And it hangs in these wires that are rated for a lot of weight, and even with some carabiners and climbing bolts and stuff actually. And the wires are a whole pulley system in the ceiling, and it comes up and down with help from a winch. In one day, this desk goes up and down 5, 6, 7 times. When we first designed this, I was a little bit worried, you know, is this gonna swing a lot when you're working here? It took like 20 minutes to get used to it. And I don't even think about that it's moving a tiny little bit these days. It works perfectly fine. Okay, let me show you the kitchen area now. It's right here. I always want to have an open kitchen. I don't want the kitchen to be like in the corner. You know, when you're like looking there when you're cooking and you have friends over here. So I really wanted to have this open feeling with a kitchen island in this tiny home. And above the cooking area, we have the microwave and the duct vent, so you get some good circulation. A full-size 4-burner cook stove here with an oven as well. I do a lot of cooking, a lot of baking, so to me, this was key. Fridge, freezer, pretty common, but as you can see around this, you have storage everywhere. Like the pantry in here, and everything is soft close, and all the drawers and sliders are under mount, so you don't really see them, because I want to keep the clean design through the entire house. And here comes a really, really cool thing in this house, the dishwasher. It's right there. This is the tiny dishwasher. Because the sink is here, we have the floating shelves up here where you can put the dishes. I don't want to have dishes on a countertop that is drying for days. It takes too much space. So with a dishwasher, it dries out straight away. You just put your dishes away and you don't see it. It's really good. I like drinking tea and coffee, so we gotta have some mugs up here. All these mugs are actually from the local pottery studio downtown Hood River. So it's kind of fun to support the locals and buy all that. Up on the shelf up here, we have a lot of food that I like to cook with, lentils and pasta and whatnot. It's accessible and it kind of looks cool when you can see what it is too. It adds a bit of flavor into the house also. Next thing, we're gonna walk through the next room here, and it's the bathroom. We have a compostable toilet. It's the separate toilet, and it works really well. Gray water actually goes straight out into nature, and there is no black water from this house at all. I'm very pleased with this toilet. It's very simple, and the functionality works great. I love to look out in nature. I mean, if you don't want to stand naked in the nature, you can always do the curtain. That's totally fine. That's up to you. But the idea to me when I designed this to like lie in the bath and look outside was something I always wanted. That's what we created here, and I'm very happy about it. We have this glass door as a cover, so it keeps that open feeling. You know, it doesn't feel like this is a small house, in my opinion. It's like living in a studio in the city. It's like definitely works fine if it's a good functionality. We spent a lot of time figuring out how to make this bathroom as efficient as possible. Below the sink, there is a washer and dryer combo. I actually don't use the dryer all the time. I like to hang my laundry, so that's where this thing comes in. And I'm all into like ropes and pulley systems. This thing comes up and down daily, and it's really good. And this is where I can hang my laundry. Heat goes that way, so the clothes are drying really quick and efficient. Let's check out the loft area up there, obviously. So you take this ladder down very easy, and then you just hook it up here. Up in this loft, there's actually space for a mattress as well if you want to have a guest bed here. But for me, it was very important to have the bedroom downstairs, so I don't have to climb down a ladder in the middle of the night if I have to go to the bathroom. So for me, up here is a lot of storage. And let's show you the bedroom. That's where the magic happens. The bed is a queen bed, and you can actually walk around on both sides. All these cabinets are plenty of room. Closets to hang all your clothes if you want some of that. And there's also an extra cabinet here for some more space, medicine cabinet and all that kind of good stuff. So the bed actually comes up on hydraulics. And below here you can put a lot of storage. And there are plenty of holes in here, as you can see, because you need air circulation so you don't get mold anywhere, because that's also a big problem that you got to think about in detail. So more space than you actually need. So I don't even use all of it. The housing crisis in the United States is off the chart, like especially in beautiful places where it's expensive to live. An average person cannot have afford to buy a home if you don't have family money or a high pay job. But for an average income person, a tiny home is a solution to that. The transition for me into a tiny home was not that difficult, really. I like simple lifestyle. I'm so happy that I started living in a tiny home and get rid of things that I didn't need in my life. It felt like weight on my shoulders just disappeared. The less things I have, the better I feel.
Thanks for watching this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you soon with another unique home tour.